All right, guys, this is December 1st of 2025. We have been doing these now for 14 months. I need to go back to my predictions of the first one that I predicted something. I'll do that in the beginning of next year and see what I predicted for 2025 and see how much of that came true. Anyway, so today we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. What do I mean with what is going to be different? So over the last month or so, I have traveled through New York, and a lot of the data that you guys see is coming from Resi Club Analytics, RESI Club.com or Resi Club Analytics. It's a lot where I get my real estate data from. I also was fortunate enough to be part of or be invited to another presentation here in a hotel in Raleigh, and that is the data that I'll be sharing here today as well. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit different information than I normally do after my presentation. So what normally happens for those that are new, drop your comments in the comment section on the bottom right. I normally do a presentation for about 10 to 20, 30 minutes. I go into data. I tell you what I think is going to happen. And it's not my opinion, it's the opinion that I gathered from other people that are way more knowledgeable and have way more experience in the real estate market than I have. But before we get started, a few noticeable things that have happened. Median sales prices are still rising. This is October. So we're looking every month that I'm doing this, I'm looking we're going back a year. So year over year, every data that I present is always year over year. So year over year, prices changed again. The median home price rose by 1.3%. The existing home sales is 1.2% higher. So it takes 1.2% longer to sell a house year over year. We are up with active listings from October last year. We're always looking at October, not November. The reason I say that is this being December 1st, the data for November, the official data for November doesn't come out until the end of December. So we're looking at October data. In October, we had a 15.3% inventory rise. This is nationwide, 15.3% more inventory than in October of last year. The 1.2% longer days on the market reflects into 5 days extra on the market. And we saw a 1.6% price reduction. So 1.6% more homes did a price deduction as the year before. And the mortgage rate in October of 2024 was 6.3 on average. And that is 0.17% lower in October of 2025. So those were some interesting data points. I was wondering if we saw an uptick in real estate activity, if we had sold more homes, right? We see a 15.3% more inventory. I was hoping that there will be signs that we are also selling more homes. And yeah, we are selling a little bit more homes than in 2024. October of 2025, we are selling 3.2% increase, Remax report. So we're seeing a 3.2% increase in home sales, which is much needed because for those that have been following me, for those that have been with this call for the last 14 months, I have been saying that the number of units, the number of homes that we keep selling year over year is still lower than what we did in 2008. And we call 2008 the Great Recession or the Great Market Crash. In 2008, we sold 4.2 million homes, I believe, nationwide. And in 2024 and in 2025, we are on track to do not even 4 million. So, or just around 4 million. And that's what this presentation is going to show us as well. So I want to dive in here. Again, this is not my presentation. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Zonda Homes. Zonda Homes is another data company. And I'm going to I have the other notes from the other presentation from Resi Clubs here, and I'm going to compare notes with you guys during this presentation on how I think they were similar and where they are slightly different. So let's go into it. Here's the entire team. If you want data, again, this is good data for builders or for people that are just want to have local information. They have a lot of very interesting data that I want to dive into. So, national housing outlook. We can all agree that incomes are still steady, consumers are still continuing to spend, so that's all on the green. Your stock market is still going strong, although that there's a lot of people on social media, similar to the real estate market. There's a lot of people on social media that keep saying the market is due for a crash or it's about to crash. Now, housing stats don't look as glooming and blooming, and inflation is also not where we want it to be. Consumer confidence is down, and industrial production and labor markets are struggling. Those are in red. Now, what do we see here? This is a year, pretty clear winner and losers. This is a job market growth and change. We see where are the markets down. We see a decrease here in labor. We see flattening markets here and job market growth in Austin and Myrtle Beach. Raleigh is a job market growth of 14%, and Durham had a 7.3% job market growth here. The labor market is slowing. So what are we? This is high income employment growth in Durham. It's not even 1%, it's 0.1%. I hope you guys can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So you won't see the entire presentation, but we zoom in on Raleigh, Durham. Durham is seeing an increase with 1.8%. Charlotte sees a big uptick in larger or with a high salary, high net worth or high income growth by 2.8%. So if you look at that on the national market, where does Raleigh come in? If you combine Raleigh and Durham together, then we have a combined net job growth year over year of 18,300, and that comes in at spot 12, just above Pittsburgh. But they did it this way because if you don't combine them, Raleigh nor Durham makes the market, but if you combine them together, we are in an uptick somewhere around 1.4% or 2%, sorry, year over year growth. As far as high income growth, this is very interesting. Raleigh has been climbing on the high income growth for smaller cities, and as you can see, of course, New York always tops the market, as you can see here. But Raleigh is from this top list, other than of course Charleston, North Carolina, is from this top 7 is one of the smallest markets on the list, and we are seeing a big uptick in high income net worth. So year over year change, about 4,000 jobs or 1.8% increase in high paying jobs coming to the market. We will see in the data later on that Raleigh's median income salary is way above. Raleigh's income is way above the median. That's what I was trying to say. But that mortgage rate, the domino effect. The domino effect, what we see here is that if rates drop, we see an increase slightly in applications. I'm going through this national data real quick because I want to go to the local data, so bear with me. As far as the real estate market, they break it down in 2 phases. That's what the Resi Club did as well. As you can see here, Zonda thinks that we're still in a phase 1. That means we have a slower job market. We're reducing house prices. And in phase 2, we see a resulting of drop of interest rates eventually offset the slowdown and increase of sales. When is phase 2 happening? We don't know. The outlook potentially is for 2026. More on that here in a little bit. So an 8 increase in buying power. So what is the buying power going to do when interest rates drop? Well, clearly, if we drop below 6%, as you can see here, 4.2 million households can afford another mortgage again. Since we dropped from 7% to 6.5%, we added 2.1 million more households to the market that could potentially afford a new home. So housing trends real quick. The overall thing is like 2025 is still well below 2019. It's hovering around 2018 to 2017 numbers. So in the bigger scheme of things, we're trying to look at a market that is pre-COVID. COVID really screwed everything up. As you can see here, this line is COVID, the darker blue, and you see that active listings are going down. And here you see that the total sales went tremendously up. Now, why is 2025 feeling a little bit different? We have a high, or we have a normal inventory level. I'm saying normal because if you compare it to 2019, is it normal? We see that inventory is rising. I believe in Raleigh it is around 9%. We get to that a little bit later, but we also see that the buying activity or the sales activity is one of the lowest it has been. What is pink? 2001 has been low, and 2023 has even been lower than that. So high inventory, lower sales activity. So that's why it feels a little bit different. 60 top markets that have more inventory. Oh, there it is. Raleigh has a 9% increase of new listings or homes on the market since 2009. So if you compare the inventory in 2009 at the same time, 2019, and you compare it with 2025, we see a 9% increase in more listings. So more to pick from. What is the overall feeling? It's slow, it's challenging, it's unaffordable. Here you can see again where is home sales trending. We trend somewhere in the middle, but it's just, you know, we're coming from a COVID market. COVID was booming. COVID was I don't care if you had experience as a builder or as a flipper or you know, anybody made good money, turned dirt into gold, as I always say. All right. The average market here, the entry level market is slowing down. Raleigh, we are on average. Durham, which really surprised me on this metric, Durham is showing a slightly overperforming real estate market. I have a few listings in Durham, and I don't echo that sentiment. I don't have the same feelings about the Durham market, but that's why we have data, so that we can put our feelings aside or our bias aside, and we can really look at the data. So Zonda's market ranking, where does Raleigh and Durham rank? It's the same as the previous slide, so I don't really know what is happening here. Or anyway, they do think that Durham is going to be an average market and that Raleigh is going to be a slightly overperforming market. So moving forward in 2026, kind of giving you already a little bit of a hint what the data is starting to tell us, is that in 2026 it looks like we're going to see more activity in Raleigh. I have always been saying, since we've been starting to record these Q&As for TRIA, that it is more and more important to know where you buy and who your buyer is going to be. That's why I am not buying in the smaller markets anymore. I'm only focusing on the higher markets like Raleigh, like Durham, markets where there's a lot of activity. And we can look at the local activity here in a little bit. And if you look at the Resi Club notes that I've been taking, it's kind of the same thing. Everybody, so both Zonda, that we're sharing the presentation for with now, and both Resi Club are saying that in 2026 we're going to see more activity in the housing market. We're going to see more buyers entering the market, and I'm going to show you here in a little bit what it means, what type of buyers we should be focusing on. And that house prices will rise, but house prices are not going to rise more than inflation, and that needs to happen for housing to be affordable again, right? Like we need salaries to grow faster than the house prices, so that if this is the house price and this is your salary, they need to catch up. And the prediction is that housing is not going to be affordable for another 10 years. So in the next 10 years, we're going to see, of course, an increase in house prices. It can depend per market. If it's steeper or slower like it is now, right? And we see a massive drops in Florida in home prices, and we're not seeing that here in Raleigh. So that sentiment is kind of going to continue. We're going to see that some markets will increase more in home prices, some are not, but on the average home price will increase slower than inflation, so that salaries can catch up with the house prices. Higher end. So one of the reasons, and you can see here, Myrtle Beach is going to be significant overperforming. Raleigh again will be in slightly overperformed market for the higher end units, and the reason is that people that are able to afford a move are always people that are well off. I wanted to go the other route, but people that are moving have wealth. They have some money. They know what they can afford to move. So that was. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I'm happy that I'm now in the $1 million bills, and that seems to be a good move for this type of data. All right, let's go local. Oh, the demographic trends. Who can afford a house, right? Your parents in their 30s. Oh, let's go buy a house. That would be nice with a garage. Me in my 30s, I can only afford milk and bread. So who is currently buying, and what do we need to be focusing on? So Gen Z is 31% of the graph here. Millennials are 27, Gen X 18, baby boomers 20%. And you see the first time home buyer is now at age 40, coming from age 27. Massive change. A massive change, right? So now the first time home buyer is around 40 years old. And so you see that that's the end of kind of the millennial spectrum. Repeating by home buyers, so not first home buyers. So people that are moving from home to home are now currently at age 67, and I believe they're coming from somewhere in the 50s. I don't have that data, I believe, here. Let me see real quick. No, sorry, I don't have the data here. But everything is moving older, and we're going to see in a little bit as well why that is, because we know where the wealth is. 55 to 75 control 50% of all the wealth in the nation. People are waiting for their parents to pass along that wealth, if it's through death or how it is. But people are clearly waiting, because 50% of the nation's wealth is controlled by 20% of the population. Scary number. Hey, equity growth. So we see a massive equity growth since pandemic. Where is the Raleigh number? Here is a Raleigh number. We see an equity growth in our houses of 62.1% in Raleigh. Charlotte saw an uptick of 71.5%. Warm weather movers, 55 plus movers, 16.8% of the people are moving to Raleigh. 19.7% are moving to Durham. So the Southern baby chasers. What's the baby chasers? If baby chasers are parents that are chasing their kids that have then kids. So grandparents chasers, so to say. So here you see year over year, and Raleigh had continued and is continuing to stay high on that list. So Raleigh is one of those areas where baby chasers like to continue to move to, right? So as you can see here, Raleigh is always, other than 2020, but Raleigh has always made it in at least a higher top of that list. So ranked number third in 2024 here. So why is it important? If their kids get a really good software job at one of the software companies or universities in the area, or any other company here in the area, their parents are most likely to move to Raleigh as well, to chase their kids and the kids of their kids. Anyway, so much more graphic Gen Z. So Gen Z somewhere moving up, so moving down. So North Carolina, in both presentations, in this presentation, in the Resi Club presentation, I met with national builders, the number 3rd builder in the nation. We met with lease option to purchase builders. Everybody continue to say Carolina, 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 and keep pointing at the Raleigh area, not at the Charlotte area. They kept pointing at the Raleigh area and the beach communities like Wilmington and Myrtle Beach. So nationwide, there is a move to North Carolina. It's weird for me to be in 2 different meetings and hear Carolinas. It's both South and North, but they keep pointing at the Raleigh area. So even for Gen Zs, Raleigh remains in a hot market here. Home ownership. Why do you have a home ownership? Again, moving close to family, right? It is that baby chaser. It is those people that want to be closer with family. So if we create more jobs, more people will move here, and then those people will make sure that other people are moving into the area as well. Millennial share of population, 50% renters, 50% homeowners. So we have a 27% ownership in Durham, 27.9%, and we have a 29.2% ownership in Raleigh, which is according to the charts here, or millennials in this area. Sorry, we have a population of 29% of the population in Raleigh is 29% is millennial, and if you then go back here to who is buying. Again, millennials are currently buying around age 40. So if you do anything and you know that around 29% of the people or the buyers in the Raleigh, or that you know that 29% of the people in Raleigh are millennials, then you know that the majority of your clients, or 29% of your clients, comes from this bucket. Let's go back. What is your main reason for renting? So we're going to look at rent versus mortgage payments. What is cheaper? And you'd be shocked, or at least I was shocked. All right, so lifetimes, traditional, can afford it. So the biggest market is like waiting for a rate cut. I personally think if there's going to be a significant rate cut, that we see prices increase. The only event that can happen is, so both Zonda and both Resi Club are pretty steady with their data until May. And why is that? In May, the Fed chairman, Powell, his job is up for re-election in May. The consensus is, of course, that Trump is going to fire him, or Trump can fire him, but that Trump is going to appoint somebody that is going to be somebody that's going to drive mortgage rates down. And is that good? You see here and later in the presentation, or you saw already in the presentation, by the way, that lower rates is going to increase inflation. And if you increase inflation, prices are going to be higher. When inflation increases, our value of our properties go up much higher again. Some other data, but here, this is what I wanted to show you. So, as you could see, in 2021, it was much more expensive to rent than to buy or to pay a mortgage, and that gap is now widening and widening and widening and widening, right? Like your rental payment, the rental income, the rent to income is like the portion of your income that goes towards rent is getting slower or lower and lower, where the portion of your income that goes towards your mortgage payment keeps increasing, and that, of course, because of the higher interest rates. So that was an interesting rate. Here again, they look at the same data and then say, okay, what if you put 5% down on your purchase? It's still, people that own a home, the majority of their paycheck goes to making mortgage payments, where renters are the portion of their income is much lower. Gen Z, the desirable Gen Z wants to buy a house in the next 5 years. That is good, at least 50%. So then we go back here again. At least that's what I would do. So you see that the younger generation in the next 5 years that are now 24 years old, in the next 5 years, the 24 to 16, 18, I guess, want to move into the housing market, or at least according to this data. Gen Zs are staying put in rentals at record highs. We got 20%, 20.6% of the Gen Zs are renting in Durham. 19.5% are renting in Raleigh. Delinquencies in mortgages and in car loans, credit cards is up. As you can see, definitely the Gen Zs are increasing their debt and they are now at a default. Nobody in both presentations, not at the Resi Club in New York, not the Zonda, was worried about this data. Yeah, we see an uptake in the delinquencies in house payments, in mortgage payments, in credit card payments. And that's just because the job market is under pressure, right? We see a slightly higher unemployment rate, and that has everything to do with this number, according to them. So then they looked at, that's another next interesting stat is they're going to look at detached and attached homes. And why is that interesting? Although that here you can see some feedback about the market. I want to really go to the next portion of the, there you go. So here we're going to look at the Raleigh and Durham market specific. And what really stood out for me here is because I'm a builder, I focus on, I network with other builders, and there's builders. I've been doing this for a little over a year. I'm yet to put my first new build on the market. But I've been networking with builders in the Raleigh and Durham area, and what I've been hearing is that builders that have built townhomes or attached homes, condos and villas, they are struggling selling that product because there's too much in the market. And this data, oddly enough, is highlighting that as well. So let's dive in. This is the last portion, and then we open it up for Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, if you want to know anything about this presentation, other presentation, or about I can help you with your deal, just let me know. But household growth in the Raleigh-Durham area, we're going to see a growth. We're going to stay above the national, this is the national average for the next few years, but you can see the expected growth in this area is going to slow down, and that has to do a little bit with job creations as well. Unemployment growth, as you can see, this is the unemployment rate. So unemployment rate will creep up in 26 and in 27, and then continue to go down. So everybody is expecting in the next few years to be a little bit tougher on the unemployment, not more than 4%, but then after that it drops down. You see that the job creations is about to rise. We see a slowdown in 2026, and I believe that has everything to do with the higher borrowing costs because interest rates are higher. By industry, you see that professional business services, health and education, of course, because of the universities, trade and transport utilities, manufacturing is going down, leisure and hospitality are going down, financial activities are on the rise, but the biggest one are education and health services and professional business services. Income, median income, Raleigh. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the U.S. median. U.S. median is around 85,000, slightly higher than that, and Raleigh is much more above that. We saw we continue the median, as you can see, we continue the median income, but at a much higher level. Of course, that comes because of all the university jobs, the pharmaceutical jobs that we have in this area, the software jobs that we have in this area. It's a really good market for people that are that have jobs in those markets. Anyway, we do see that we have an annual change in income, or that is slightly going ahead. That in 2024 they say income actually dropped. We went backwards, and we're going to see a rise here in the next few years as well. Supply, monthly supply here in days, median days on the market, month of supplies. Again, nothing to be worried about. We are kind of hovering around the middle here, and right now we're kind of on that. This the average here as well. Days on the market. Nationally, we are here a little bit. Durham is below the national level, and Raleigh is above the national level. Again, big surprise to me. It feels different for me. It feels like Raleigh is much better market for my product than it is in Durham. Hey, data shows otherwise. So, existing home sales and prices. You see a big drop in sales activity, and here is the not only is it the this is the activity, is also the prices that are going up. Medium existing per square feet, we're gonna stay kind of flat over the next year, and this is kind of what I said in the beginning of the presentation, right? I said that home prices will rise, but not more than the inflation, and that is kind of what, if you take nothing away from this presentation, take away that, yeah, if you go on social media right now and you see, oh, the housing market is going to collapse, it's going to be worse than 2008, there is 50% home price cuts. There's several people that I trust from bigger pockets. There's several people that are smarter than me that are trying to call out those people that publish these articles, because they're based on no data. That's why I go to presentations like this where I have to pay for the data, so I know I'm not getting data from some person that is doing it on a click rate, right? So if you're on social media and you're looking at data from social media, there's people that do it for the click rate. I do it. I share my data on Facebook because I like to educate you and I like to help you to make a wise decision in your investment. And that's why I also went to this one, because I know they do their research. Anyway, attached new home sales. Attached new home sales. And this is, I believe, is this Raleigh? Let me see here. Oh, this is just Raleigh and Durham combined together. I thought they had it separate. But detached home sales, as you can see, we are continuing to put a lot of new product in those in these markets. Like, you see a big uptick of attached homes in Raleigh and Durham market. But the price is kind of like, people had enough of that, right? People are like, you see a massive uptick here in product, but you don't see you hardly see the needle move on price. So when you, and I am developing a few properties in Raleigh that are attached to each other. If you do that, make sure that you focus on the lower end of the market. Anyway, here detached homes, that we need to get more of detached homes that are detached from anything else in this market. We saw a big uptick here, and then we see that product going down. That has, for me, if I look at the Raleigh and Durham market, for me, that has everything to do with the land purchase that people buy their land with. If it's too expensive, you only have one option. If people come to me and they advise me and they ask me for my advice, I tell them to stay away from attached homes right now. Prices, what is here? Building permits. This is the national average. In 2025, we're going to be as high as 24. For some reason, they're predicting a drop in building permits in 26, and then we're going to go back to the same levels as 24 and 25 in the years 27 to 29. The single family is the darker colors, and then multifamily is the lighter colors. So you do see an increase in multifamily coming into the Raleigh market. More people wanted to rent. We just saw that the income to rent ratio is higher. Owning is more expensive than renting. We already dove into that earlier. Average sales by county. Wake County leading the charge. Durham is slightly there behind Wake. Then Johnson, I would say a good third. Fourth is Chatham County and Orange. So this is all data that I normally share, biggest builders in the area and stuff like that. So with that, thank you guys for listening to me. Questions, concerns, anything you like to know, anything you like to ask me. I'm going to sit on silent. You can either put your questions in the chat box or come off of mute and ask me your question. I always know that this is the time that people are going to wait for each other, and then what is the saying? When one sheep is over the dam, then the rest will follow. All right, here we go. Michael Nolan, if interest rates do fall, how does that impact your strategy? If interest rates fall, oh my word, I am sitting on a good penny. I'm selling everything at that point, Michael. I am. I think if rates fall, I am selling every single rental that I own that I purchased after 2019. So that will be offloading a lot of product. If that happens, I calculated all my new builds to sell below the square foot price that it's currently selling already at. For example, if you've been to my show and tells, there we're building in 5 points. So I have 7 homes in 5 points. We calculated we're building 4 of them there. The other 3 we're doing a rehab, and we thought that we would sell those houses for $495 a square feet. Currently, houses in that area are selling for $535 per square feet, up to $600. So if interest rates drop, again, inflation is going to go up. That means your money becomes worth less. That means square foot prices will go up. If you're Michael, if you're truly thinking that interest rates are going to go down, then you need to start buying like crazy right now. You need to stock up, because now you buy cheap, and then in May, if the Fed chair Powell is going to get fired, interest rates will drop, you sell it for. People are going to call you brilliant. People will say, "Oh man, Michael, he knew the market." So, again, is it going to go that route? I really don't know. I'm not making any predictions until May. Everything you heard from me is until May, and then we'll see what happens after Powell gets fired. So, but here's another one. I just put this one on the market, and I'm not even done. This is a flip. I just put this one on the market 6 days ago, and we put it on the market for $484 per square feet. We already, if we go to wanted to show you Homes.com. I think it's Homes.com. Yeah, this is why I focus on the higher end product. We are 4 days on the market. We have 2,400 views almost, and these are people. If you look at the data, and listed on the 24th, 1.3 million. The whole roof had to come off. I mean, I did a show and tell there. But if you look at the data, which again, data is key, because I thought the Durham market was worse than the Raleigh market. I was wrong according to the data. If you look at the data, 97% of the people are actively searching for this property. So hope that helps a little bit with how I run the data. Michael, I love all the questions, by the way. That was one you had. Yeah, yeah. This was the one I had a fire on. So let me, for those that haven't been to this property right here. This was the property when we purchased it. So you see the fire here, basements and everything. And then here we took the roof off. There was all the fire. The roof was completely gone. And now we put a new roof on. And there's the new roof and so on. So this is all in the timeline of, what is the date on this picture? Can we see a date? No, I can see a date. We purchased the property end of November. So that is the timeline on that one. Lars, what was the rehab budget on that one? The rehab budget on this one is 185,000. I bought it for 785, and the rehab budget is 185, and we're on the market for 1.3. So that's the numbers there. Yeah. Again, guys, I'm also in the market, and the reason I show you this one, right? I continue to tell people, if it's I get to the other questions here. Let me open the queue. If it's hard to buy, it's easy to sell. If it's easy to buy, it's hard. Is it easy to buy? It's hard to sell. Meaning, focus on the areas where you have some competition buying. Mark, you raise your hand.
Yeah, hi. First off, that's a crazy number of views for a property in only like a few days. 2,400.
Yeah, so it's on Glen. So to tell you a little bit of a backstory, by the way, this is on Glenwood, and you see an area view right. You see an area view right here. So this is the house. There's one more house next to it, and then there's no more houses until further down the block. This and this house are the only non-commercial properties on this block. So this one is a commercial, that one is a commercial property, and there's a huge school across the street.
Yeah. Yep. So good luck with that one.
Thank you.
I had some questions for you though.
Yeah.
As a new home builder, what type of entities did you set up, or layers of entities did you set up to be building homes?
I always have a pyramid set up, meaning I have one holding company that owns all my seven other companies, and then all the other 7 companies are divided into rentals, flips, or new builds. And I do that for tax purposes. So it's easier for your CPAs, easier for your accountant if you have one company that is only focusing on rentals, one property is only focusing on flips, and one company that's only focusing on new builds. Now, I have multiple rental companies because I do have an umbrella policy, I have a liability policy, and I have there's another policy I'm forgetting. Company policy, maybe. Anyway, all my policies cover me for $6 million per company. And if the valuation of my portfolio goes over the insurable amount, then I'll buy in the next company.
Okay. Well, within a new builds LLC, are you placing each property in its own LLC?
Nope.
Or just all lumping them all in one big bucket?
They are in 2 different companies.
Okay. 2 different new build LLCs then, is what you're saying.
I think I have 2. Yeah, I believe I have even 3, but yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then by chance, are any of those like S corps, or just
no, and you open a can of worm. No, I am actually working through converting things that I had in an LLP or S corp, converting them back to an LLC. It's
okay.
As a single member, it's not worth it to me.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep. Ryan, question.
Hey Eric, how you doing?
Good.
Trying to think. Maybe a question on here often, like what scenario would have to take place for you to consider going away from the city and working to develop or do more things in the rural area?
Demand needs to pick up.
The what does?
Demand needs to pick up. I need to see a higher demand in that area.
Oh, demand. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So and I'm not saying that other builders are not successful, but I like to focus on infill lots, right? Like this is my first year of building. So an infill lot means, hey, there was a house. I either tear the house down or there used to be a house and I can build there.
You mentioned, said if it's easy to buy, it's hard to sell. And that makes total sense because outside the city, it's easier to build, but it might be a little harder to sell because you're away from the amenities. Is that the opinion?
I get on a daily basis. I don't know. I feel like I could have purchased the entire Rocky Mount and Fayetteville, and I know. I keep on shitting on those 2 cities, and I'm trying to give you the real data. But on maybe because of my network, but on a daily basis, I feel like I can purchase 50% of both cities, Rocky Mount and Fayetteville, right? So let's actually pull up the data. So if I continue to see that there's a lot of inventory there, if I can continue to see that a lot of flippers are doing flips there, then my competition is higher. So it's going to be easier for me to buy, and therefore it's going to be harder for me to sell. Now, that being said, I also shared with you guys last month a report that 85,000 new Army, Navy service members are moving to the Fayetteville area because they're shutting down a base in Texas, and a lot of people are having to move to Fort Bragg, or however they call it these days. So that might be really good for your rentals or for future rentals. But so for my product, Ryan, to also answer your question, my new builds, my cheapest new build, my entry level new build, paying my GC, right? I am not a GC. I'm having to pay somebody. Is $166 per square feet. If I'm having to purchase land on top of that, and I'm in a market where I can sell for more than $180 per square feet, I cannot build there. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like I'm not making a profit right now in North Raleigh. I am building in North Raleigh for $200, $190 per square feet, and I'm selling it for $495.
Right.
That's no-brainer to me, right?
It was for a while there. I don't mean to steal more time than.
No, you go ahead.
For a while there, everyone was talking about, hey, everyone's gonna work from home. That's gonna be a new thing, and people wanted more space. And I just guess the question is more around: is that trend going back to where people are moving back to the city because of work, or because they want to, or is it just people moving everywhere? Just the city, you can just get a higher dollar.
We need to look at the data again, but Amazon and Google are making it almost mandatory to work in the office again. So people are forced back in there. Yeah. And on top of that, people are. It was cool. It was fun. It was new. You're like this, right? What we're doing now. This. You're looking at my face on the screen. That was pre-COVID. It was like, woo! You're not in my company. I don't know you. What are we doing? And now this is normal, right? This all of a sudden became normal. Like Zoom, the stock of Zoom majorly increased because everybody was all of a sudden on Zoom. And now it's not cool anymore. Now we want to interact, right? Like we want to go to places. So I want to show you the data real quick. Don't want to keep giving you wrong data. So I just saw a comment in there, and Ryan, by no means am I cutting you off. Keep asking your questions, but about my first in the Garner property. So Michael, I'll get back to you here in a second. But here, home sold year over year, it keeps just dropping 2.7. And that's why I keep saying in the Fayetteville market, the trend continues to go like this. So no, there's less and less people buying in the Fayetteville market, right? And I just did Redfin. What did I Google? Fayetteville and data Redfin or NC. So anybody can look at this data. This is just public data that you don't have to pay for. The days on the market is increasing. Now, and I'm not saying, by no means am I saying that it looks glooming for Raleigh. All right, let's go back to Raleigh. But at least we're trying to go up. We're trying to do more, right? And we only see a year-over-year decrease in homes sold of not even 1%, and it's 8 days year-over-year more on the market according to here. Now and then if you go Rocky Mount, and then I go to look at his data as well. Rocky Mount, 30% year-over-year. I mean, this city is basically like there's nothing happening, right? Like 30% fewer homes sold. Let's go to Garner. Michael said that he just got. Garner, Michael, with your first property. I bought my first property, Garner, with a house hack. Fantastic. I'm looking to get rentals in 12 months. What kind of property should I be looking for in the market? So here, it's pretty steady, right? Even during COVID, Garner has been pretty steady. So that is Garner is a safe bet. So did it answer your questions, Ryan?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So, Michael, when you look at rentals, I would be very conservative in your numbers. We all know, and I've kept saying this. Yes, rentals are in high demand now. That's why people are. I just showed you the data. So it's not. I don't think it's a bad investment. It's not an investment I'm doing anymore. It's becoming harder and harder for me to take cash flow. If you do look at rentals, I would really focus on properties that you either can do the BRRRR strategy, buy, rehab, rent, and refinance. And I'm saying refinance and rent the opposite way than the BRRRR strategy. According to Bigger Pockets, the real BRRRR strategy is buy, rehab, refinance, and rent. But in today's market, you have to buy, rehab, rent, and then refinance because you have to show income. Otherwise, DSCR lenders are going to be difficult. So either focus on a product where you can flip it and put everything new, or buy a newer product. The older the product, and that's why I'm getting out of the rental space in the certain market, because I bought an old product. The older product is not working anymore because your insurance is going to increase by 15% this year, and then next year again. My rents are not increasing. And if you buy a new rental in the next 2 years or 5 years, you're going to have to do the roof, you're going to have to do the HVAC, and there's going to be other problems. Where if you buy a newer property, either you rehabbed everything in there, plumbing, electric, and HVAC and roof, or you're buying a newer one, right? Lennar right now gives you incentives to buy new homes for cheap. If you buy a newer home, at least you know that you're fix your expenses are lower, because I make on average $300 per month on my rental. That sounds fantastic. Yeah. Now your HVAC breakdown, that's $6,500. $6,500 will take 2.5 years to pay back from your $300 income. Now your roof goes out in the meantime. Anyway, you're just playing a catch-up game. Focus on Michael, I hope if you buy a rental, you're focusing on a newer product, a newer home, or a home that you can completely fix and flip to increase the value as well, and then put a higher end tenant there. Focus on the higher end tenant.
Can you just give us a quick definition of what you mean by older, newer product? Like what's the year range you're looking at?
So that's a good question, Rush. But so roofs go out roofs go bad between 15 and 25 years, right? HVAC, they say around 10 years you should be worried about it. And now I have HVACs that are much older, and plumbing needs to be PVC. Like make sure that when you do buy a rental, that you know that you are. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Ryan as an inspector is on here, so maybe he can tell us, but you want to buy a rental that is beyond the cast iron pipe area. And I think that was 1970s or something like that, or later. Right? Like let's Google it.
I can say that sometimes those pipes have already been replaced. So for $300 you can get a sewer scope. And
there you go.
Find it out. So I've got rental properties that have cast iron, and they're probably going to last another 30 years. It also has to do with the soil acidity, what kind of, are people driving over it? What kind of roots could be going through? Is there a slope? So I wouldn't say there's any rule, but I would be very careful about galvanized steel. If you see that, I try to run away because it needs to be replaced. That corrodes from the inside, and there's nothing you can do about it. Terracotta is even older than the cast iron. It's just not, it just doesn't seal. I would plan to get that replaced. But like anything, before you say I'm not going to buy this house because it has this or that, put a number to it. If it's $6,000, replace it. Then if that's in the budget, who cares? Just do it. Then you'll be happy, you never have to worry about it again.
Thank you, Ryan. That's a really good point, because here, this is a flip of mine in Wilmington. As you can see, there's a signal already, right? And now this is this should have been a new build. The only this is not it. This is our sample. The only thing in this house that is original are the walls. But now we're done and we want to put it on the market. This is how it looks now. And I am delayed a week because there's a cast iron pipe at the road that is broken down. And luckily, a portion of the pipe's already new. But I lost a lot of money having to. I replaced every single roof and every single pipe in Rocky Mount because every single roof was old and every single pipe was cast iron. And that's why I am saying be careful for older properties, because that's in 2024 I almost lost my business because I bought properties that were older, and yes, on paper they cash flow $300, but then all the repairs, every single repair hit me at the same time. And but if you do the other thing, Raj and Michael, is do my 3-1 strategy. My 3-1 strategy is if you buy 3 properties, 2 are flips, and 1 you keep as a rental, because you have 2 flips that can put money in your pocket. Do it as a flip, do it as a wholesale, but do 2 flips or 2 wholesales and keep 1 rental. And that way you keep the IRS off your back, because now you have a rental, so you can do depreciation, and you have the 2 other properties that will generate income from you in the case that you have a roof or something that is breaking down.
Can I add one thing before we move past sewer systems?
Yeah.
I'm a septic installer, and it is a shameless plug, but a lot of people are not. They say, I don't want to deal with septic. I'm telling you, it is a great opportunity because you want to do what other people are not. And once you understand it and you're comfortable with it, you can put a number to it. It's really not that scary. The only thing that's scary is if you don't have enough land to where if you did need to make a repair. But usually I would say generally if it's a half an acre or more, you're probably going to be just fine. And you can find some really good deals. Even if it's like a 2-bedroom for a short, some of the times you can actually add a bedroom without actually even digging in the ground, just by having an engineer letter. So there's all kinds of stuff and opportunities. It makes me real excited. Yep, I said it.
I hear poop makes a lot of money.
Well, it can be some great opportunities missed. Yeah, just go out and ask one more layer of questions than other investors would, and you might be surprised.
Ryan, what's your company's name?
Homes Built Bright, but also for my septic, it's Everbright Septic.
Thank you.
We poop scoop.
World's most mediocre website, but it's I also do inspections for those as well. Just usually, if someone's asking me to do inspection, unless it's a new home, it probably needs repair. So, it's something that would deduct from whatever repairs.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank Ryan for throwing that out there. I just want to bid on my first investment, which is a HUD home, and it has septic, and I'm nervous. So thank you for that plug.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Good luck and congratulations.
Ryan is a good guy. Ryan is a good, honest guy. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And
Erik,
by the way, Marty, on your first house as well. Anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah, Erik,
Yeah.
I came on late. Is there a way I can get the meeting minutes?
Yeah, the full recording will be on YouTube, and I can share the notes. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So any of these meetings, and that's why maybe before next meeting in January, I do this once a month. Maybe for next meeting, I go and see what my previous predictions were for 2025. Now that the year's over, and I can see how incorrectly or correctly I informed you in 2025 as a learning moment for me as well. So, and then again, for all of those that joined later, I believe Mark, you already signed up, but I want to keep a plug to TRIA. I'm on the board of TRIA, and we are having a Christmas party on the 11th of December, and we already have over 100 people that signed up. So we are most likely going to sell out of tickets if you want to be there. There's live music, and you get a welcome drink or a ticket for a free drink as well. So, any other questions?
Hi, Erica. I have a question about your LLC structure. You mentioned, so you have one holding company, and under the holding company you have 6 different LLC. For the tax purpose. So what's the tax benefit you set up like this?
No, it's not for tax purposes. It's protection, sir, to give me more protection.
Oh, protection. Okay. So
yeah. So all the revenue, all the losses are going. So on the operating agreement, it's not my name that is listed on the operating agreement. It's my holding company that's listed on the operating agreement. So I'm not the owner. My holding company is the owner. The advantage is that all the losses and all the profit all come into one bucket, all go into the holding company, and then it becomes a little bit easier, right, to do taxes as well. Because if you have rentals, all your rentals are depreciating every year. If you have new builds, you pay capital gains, and those can offset each other a little bit in the total picture, if that makes sense.
can you explain more detail? Like for example, like your new construction. So you put the holding company as a member, the member, right? Yeah. New holding company.
Yeah. So company 1, who's owning the holding company. Company 1 is the owner of company 2, is the owner of company 3, is the owner of company 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And then so this has never happened, but we are creating businesses for our kids, and we're doing this as an income. I'm not doing it. I'm not in the real estate to screw people over. But if anything was to happen and people sue me, they have to first go to company 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if they go to that company, they come up to company 1, and they're still not at my personal assets. I want to protect my personal assets, right? I want to protect my home that I live in, that I raise my kids. And therefore, I have that set up.
So where did you register your LLC? It's in like Delaware or like Wyoming?
No, I don't believe in that. LLCs in North Carolina, you can do that. That I'm not saying that is a wrong strategy or not, but the way I've set my LLCs up here in North Carolina as an LLC, you're very well protected as well, and you need to have the right insurance.
Okay, I'm into the new construction. Can you show me again the last slide, the Raleigh builders, the last slide?
Ooh, if I have that presentation up.
So where I can find those recording? This is my first time, so.
This is things that were shared with me because I joined a meeting that I attended. So let me see. You wanted to see the builders. One year, it's my goal to be on this list as well. Top builders in Raleigh.
Wow.
You're going to see on top of this list Mark Retschkimmer and Erik Timmermans. Right, Mark?
That'd be nice.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime. Any other questions?
Yeah, Eric, can I ask about that 2-1 strategy?
Yeah.
Essentially, if I'm reading it right, you do 2 flips, and then you have capital gains from the 2 flips, and then you do 1 rental so that you can use the bonus depreciation to offset the capital gains?
That, and if I have, correct, yes. That's why my mother-in-law still thinks I am committing fraud, because I paid a lot of taxes when I was in my W-2. Now I make much more money being my self-employed, but I pay no taxes.
Right.
And that's because I have rentals, right? So rentals is a really good strategy to offset your income to get credits back, right? And the 2-1, beside that, the 2-1 strategy, you buy 3 properties, you keep two as a flip or as a wholesale, whatever you do. And now your roof goes out on your rental or your HVAC goes out. You don't have to tap into personal funds to fund that. You can tap into the bucket of money that you just created by selling the other 2 properties. Rentals, if you buy, what I have experienced, if you buy a little bit of an older product, an older home, rentals are often an expensive hobby that will make you on paper a multimillionaire, but in today's economy environment, like I literally said to my bankers, if you look at my asset class, I should be. You think I'm a multimillionaire, but if you look at my bank account, I should be on food stamps, right? That is, and bankers said, yeah, that is the average. That's the average normal thing for people that have rentals. They in their asset class, they're a multimillionaire, but in their bank account, because their rentals need so much money, they should be on food stamps.
Oh, okay.
And therefore I start doing the 3-1 strategy, and it worked well for me. I did a few flips and then I had money for rentals and stuff like that. So
Thank you.
or you have a down payment for your rentals, right? If you don't have any repairs, then you can do it like that. Anything else?
Question for you, Eric, about working with different brokers. I know you've advised before, like diversifying and not necessarily just having one broker, one lender that you work with.
Yeah.
But when you work with multiple brokers, are you personally like signing exclusive buyer's agents agreements, or are you finding brokers that don't require that?
Yeah, but I have never had an issue with my broker in Rocky Mount fighting over that I am using a broker in Raleigh. I'm very upfront with them about it. And I even put it in an email. Hey, Marty, thank you for being my broker in Raleigh, but hey, when it comes to Durham, I'm going to find somebody else, right? And I put it in an email to them, and I was like, hey, I can sign your exclusive agreement, but we're going to put that for a zip code or a city or whatever. Because in Durham, I'm using another agent than I'm doing in Raleigh, and in Raleigh, I'm not using my agent out of Fayetteville, right? Like, I respect everybody's profession, but and most realtors from Fayetteville do not know the ins and the outs of the Raleigh market that my Raleigh realtor does. I never knew that Maple Street in Raleigh used to be 50% of all the kills in all of Wake County. Neither do I think that an agent in Fayetteville would have known that, but my Raleigh agent did.
Makes sense.
And my Raleigh agent doesn't know where in Fayetteville the good neighborhoods are, or those insights that they know about Raleigh, right? That's why it's very important to me that every market is a different market. Don't commingle them.
Makes sense. Cool.
Right?
Thank you.
I did. And then my property manager that I had for all my properties amongst all markets, I fired him. And now I had an issue in all my markets. If I now have an issue in my Rocky Mount market, where I have 60 rentals, and I fired that property management team there, I don't have an issue in Fayetteville. I don't have an issue in Raleigh. I don't have an issue in Durham, right? Like those. So that's why I want you to diversify.
Can I ask another question about that? Kind of on it.
Next question is $20.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for, Marty. Sorry.
For some of us that are really new to investing, like I said, I just got my first property. How do you kind of launch from places like my flip, I can drive to it within, let's say, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If I one day want to be more like Eric and I'm like, hey, I want to have flips an hour from here, or even folks that have out of state flips, like at a high level, how do you get to that point without trying to be everywhere all at once?
Very good question. And you don't want to be like me, because then you get a lot of gray hair too. The systems that you implement locally, start treating your business like the way you would do out of state. And the reason I say that is like, so as everybody can hear, right? I have an accent. So I tell people I'm from Texas, but I'm from Amsterdam, overseas. So what I start noticing is when I was over in Europe, my rental portfolio would excel. My properties were doing way better. And I was like, excuse me, what? And instead of taking that personally, I start implementing a system that I never went to a property or never looked at a property. Because if I go to a property, my designer head comes on, right? I start moving that wall, and this needs to go, and that needs to go, and ooh, ha, he, and I want to be fancy, and I want to do this, right? Same is happening right now in my new builds. My builder is going crazy because I'm like, oh, we need to have a pot filler above the stove. We need to have a water tap that has boiling water all the time. We need to have EV chargers. Like my house needs to be decked out from top to bottom. And anyway, so that is a little bit my weakness. My weakness is I want to outdo everybody. I want to have it nice. I want to do anyway. So what I start doing is I start implementing a process where my contractor and my realtor were my eyes and my ears on the ground. Right? I have a whole presentation that maybe I give it for Tria next year again, where I walk through the 5 steps that I implement to never see a house, but yet, you know my story, Marty. 2-3 years ago, I forgot which July, I bought 13 properties and I never saw one of them. I did it all from this chair, and I saw none of them. That's where you need to go to, and that's how you have to implement your business. Treat that property that is 30 minutes away as it is 30 hours away. Never go there. Of course, go there and drive by, but implement something that you don't have to.
Okay.
Right? Raj, your contractor is going to ask you for a draw because he worked on a property. Okay. Don't drive out there. Ask him for pictures. Don't pay anybody before you have pictures. Don't ever make an upfront payment. Right? You say, if you need supplies, go to Lowe's. Have Lowe's call me. And then when Lowe's calls you, you say, hey, Lowe's representative, can you tell me what Raj is buying? Sorry, Raj, to give you as an example, but can you tell me what he's buying today for material? Yeah, sure. 6 sheets of drywall, 20 2x4s, a Mountain Dew, a Snicker, and a hammer. And then you say, thank you, Lowe's. That Snicker, the hammer, and the Mountain Dew you can take that off the receipt. Can you please only charge me for the drywall and the lumber that is needed for this project? You are not in charge of buying somebody's tools to do the job. That is their job. And that's how I start managing the project. I just had people tell me what they were buying on my dime, and then I would pay their material, and I would reimburse them for the labor as soon as the labor was done, not halfway through. You want to be reimbursed for drywall? Show me that the drywall is hanging. Show me it's mudded. Show me it's paint ready. Send me pictures. And that's what I mean, Marty. Like, don't go to the property yourself. Implement a process, and then you can start doing it an hour away, 2 hours away, and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you. That's going to be hard with the first one.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah. True.
And you just have to implement your own process. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Like I've said before on this call, it's like I come from the clinical research, right? Like drug manufacturing. And in the clinical research, if you dissect a mice for research, it has to happen every single time at the same way to get hopefully a different or the same result. In real estate, it's a completely different industry. You can do it your way, and the way you do it, Marty, is great for you, but might not work for me, and the other way around, right? But that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you're doing it differently. And there's so many different ways you can do it in real estate, and that's the beauty about real estate. How do you compensate your contractor to be your eyes and the ears on the ground for rentals? Is he payback? So great question, Manny. I have a contractor in Rocky Mount. That is my eyes and ears there. If he opens the door for me, he gets $50. If he sometimes he sells a property for me to somebody else, and I just send a contract, I'll pay him a certain percentage of the sales price. So, but there is something like don't always feel that you have to reimburse people. If you're loyal to people and loyalty is not reciprocated, move on. But if I'm loyal to you and you're my contract, and for every single job I'm going to you and I never argue with you about your price, at some point you can open the door for me as well, or you can go check on that job for me as well, because that is what is loyalty to me. That means like I don't argue about or if your price is decent, right? I'm not going to argue about your price, but you're going to be doing stuff for me. And if that is not the case, I'm moving on to the next one, or I'm going to be arguing you about your price and nickel and diming you about your price, right? But you're going to lead with loyalty, and then loyalty will be reciprocated. And if it's not, next one, next person. So, hi guys. Well, anything else before I let you go? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much for everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. Don't forget to sign up for the TRIA Christmas party. Keep an eye on the TRIA website, by the way. We're going to do a ton of online meetings. Marty, you're not a beginner anymore, but we're going to also implement beginners meetings. If you like Marty, want to pick up a few rentals or flips. So there's going to be more meetings next year in TRIA. So set your goals high. We're going to start with a live coach or a coach that is coming to talk in January. And we already have a lineup of speakers for TRIA until May. So people want to come, people want to talk to you guys. So enjoy the holidays. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everything. And we'll see you in 2026. We're going to make it a great year. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.